Hey, 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 hey. Let's get this party going, y'all. Y'all know who it is. You know what it is. This is Coach Powell at Coffee Tea, you and me. Every Friday for the last couple of years, I've been getting together with entrepreneurs and business leaders, broadcasting this show to help you guys come up with the best way possible to grow your businesses, grow your presence, become recognized, do all the things you need to do to be super successful in everything that you do. I love doing it. I'm a coach. It's my heart, it's my passion to help as many people as I possibly can to reach that very, very next level of success and then just keep on rising from there. For those of you all who know, you call me the 9 Step Guru, they call me Coach Powell, they call me all kinds of stuff, and I'll answer to pretty much all kinds of stuff. But I'm pretty good at staying focused on what the agenda is. And today's agenda is all about finishing the 9 steps to mastery, help you build your professional networks. And we're on the 9th step, and we've been extending this for a couple of weeks now. We're rounding the corner. We're talking about strategy. This week, we're talking, and for the next couple of weeks, we're going to be talking about everything you need to know to put together a winning execution plan to make sure that you're doing the things that you need to do with the style that you need to use, using the right language, using the right culture, using the right exercises to make sure that you're maximizing on your professional relationships. Now, it is impossible. Let me just say this really quickly so you understand what I'm talking about. When you're building relationships, you're really building trust. Trust, right? You can't build trust without two things: character and competence. You don't believe me? Go look it up. When you talk about trust, what is trust? What is trust? It is how people leverage and develop and share their character and their competence in a way that can be well received by others. You want people to leverage and give you trust. You want to be able to leverage and give other people trust. Now, it's a thing, but it's not a thing. And what do I mean by that? It's a thing because it's really real and it's super tangible. It's not a thing because it's very difficult to measure. And what we tend to do is use the most difficult things and discount them in the measurement process. Well, let me tell you something. When you get trust right, when you get it right, you can move every agenda you have in your life and in your business in lightning speed, quickly. So everybody goes, well, yeah, okay, I get it. If people trust each other, they're going to move things faster. They're going to do things faster. They don't have to second guess everything. They can have to double check everything. You don't have to look at everything that has to be looked at. You could trust and verify, right? It's very super, super important thing to be able to do. They can go faster. But most of us make excuses for not building the proper trust before we require or request people to do something or try to leverage a relationship or an opportunity. And I will tell you that's a sinful shame because when people are ready to give you the trust, that's when you should be ready to ask for it. And you have to be really good to know when it's time to leverage trust. When is the right moment? When is the right space? When is the right place? How do you make the right kinds of connections? All those things we have talked about for, several weeks since the beginning of the year. So you can go back and watch all the episodes where we started talking about this. But we're right in the corner now. We're talking about advanced level stuff. We're talking about now, how do you really execute on all the wonderful strategies you've built, all the relationships you've built, everything you need to do. And the first thing you got to do when it comes to building these relationships is make sure that you understand what strategy really is. Because strategy is so much more than just having a big idea and going for it. That's part of it, but it's so much more than that. When you truly understand strategy, you're going to understand at least four key areas of strategic thinking, mindset, and development, right? You're going to understand skill. That's the most important part. Tactic, technique, and finally, overall strategy. Because if you don't understand all these different aspects of what becomes a strategic mindset or your execution continuum, I would like to say, these are the 4 points of what I call the execution continuum. And simply put, You need to know exactly what skills to employ. And you must have a tactical mindset to win with those skills. Your technique and basic approach has to be flawless. And it's essential to have a well honed strategy to bring it all together. These four skills are the skills of superstar planning quadrant. These are the things that you need to know to make sure that you are performing at the highest level for you and your team. Today, we're going to bust open the skill, core competency, and contribution aspect of that continuum, that four quadrant continuum. So we're just going to talk about skill today. And if you're lucky, we might get a chance to review some exercises that you could use if we don't run out of time. If we run out of time, we run out of time. But I would ask you, if you're logging on, if you're sharing, if you're in the system right now, do me a favor. Don't keep us a secret. Share this opportunity with as many people as you can. Let us help you get to the place where you want to get to in your business by sharing anything you want to share about any upcoming events you got going on. If you've got a business that you want people to pay attention to, put it in the chat. This is a business friendly environment. I will always try to create business friendly environments for those of you all who are watching. I'm going to give you a brief update and then we're going to get right into the program today. For those of you who know me, my birthday was earlier this weekend. I just turned 58 years old. My wife reminded me because I wasn't sure exactly how old I am, but just turned 58 a couple days ago, May 28th, and we celebrated Memorial Day and have a huge sale going on right now. And you can call it a sale, you can call it a promotion. It really is my way of giving back to the community at a very, very discounted rate. That doesn't mean I'm going to take on all the new players that are out there that want to be, Coach Powell clients and so on and so forth. You know, um, when you offer what I offer, uh, it's hard not to be in high demand. Let me just say that way. Um, but I'm still going to be very selective about who I bring on. So you can take advantage of our 50% off offer anytime you want. Just give me a call. My information is scrolling across the screen right now. Um, and we'll talk about what works best for you in using my vision questioning process. But I want to be clear that, the goal of this promotion is to raise money for the SOS conference coming up in October, which I promise to be a main and core sponsor for that. And so I'm going to walk it like I talk it, which is serve as many people as I possibly can to get in front of that effort and to make sure I'm doing all that I can do. I see my girl Pamela's out there. Hey, Pamela, good to see you. Thanks for signing on. Really appreciate you. Definitely put your business information in the chat if you haven't already, Pamela, so that other people can know and reach out to you and all that kind of good stuff. And again, if you have any questions about what we're talking about today, because I want to know how you have executed the skills required to build and maintain your brilliant teams. If you have any history in that, if you have any experience with that and you want to share that, please do. So let's get this party started. For many of you all know that I've been doing this for quite a while, and it's been a passion of mine to help as many entrepreneurs as possible. But most people, they talk a good game about what they want to do and how they want to do it and the vision they have for themselves and their business. They really don't know when it comes down to it what skills are required to really rock out to it. Today, I'm going to share with you the skills that are required to really be excellent in business development and professional relationship development. Those things are not inseparable. You can't do one without the other. And I'll tell you why if you pay attention. You'll learn a few things. So, what are the skills? What are the core competencies? And what are the contributions that you have to make to really, really be excellent at networking? Let's break it down. Van Gogh says to understand one thing well is better than understanding many things by halves. If you're a skilled person, you probably already know how to focus on the skill that you've developed. It's your ability to do this thing really well comes usually through training and or experience. It is hard to develop skills without training and or experience. You have to be able to demonstrate your skills well, set proper expectations of your potential, and then be accepted by those who have a high level of expectation for you. The good news is that with hard work and discipline, you can get better at just about anything, right? It's not rocket science. You have to develop talent in a very specific area. And if you do this correctly, you're going to do it in a way that's most meaningful to your life and to your business. Now, once you come down to it, these skills, they have to be, you have to develop them to the point where you're nothing short of masterful. That doesn't mean you can't begin to exercise that talent in real world situations and responsibilities. I mean, how long can you stay in school? How long can you stay in the training program? How long can you plan to plan before you get down to the business of getting the practical experience that you need to get in order to validate first to yourself that you have developed that you're developing the skills and that you've grown, but then to others to demonstrate that you have and you are all about the right stuff. So when I talk about core skill and expertise, I'm talking about building blocks, right? Understanding that there's a discipline and a practice that relate to significant experience. And so if you don't get that discipline and that practice, then you're not going to ever be able to share with someone in a quality way that you're the right person that they should be dealing with. Mortimer J. Adler has some things to say about this that I love. And the quote from Adler is this: true freedom is impossible without a mind made free by discipline. This is what I'm talking about. You can't reach a level of mastery by skipping steps. You can't reach a level of inspiration in terms of how you perform whatever skill that you need to perform by not practicing, not rehearsing, not going over it again, not finding out your mistakes, not getting judged by others, getting feedback from others. Keep creating that opportunity where you can learn by from the people that are experiencing whatever it is that you're sharing. So if you're in a business that has a product or a service, right? You need to know how that product or service not just is being put together or delivered, but you need to know how it's being received by those who you hope to serve. And you need to be open to the feedback loop and all the various different permutations that can come into before you begin to innovate. That's right. I said basics before innovation. If you try to innovate a process or practice or some principles that, first of all, don't need your innovation, you're going to find that you're going to fall victim to basically having unprincipled behavior in whatever it is that you're doing. And that's not going to serve you well. You're going to have to refocus and re engineer your practices and make sure that you're coming back to something that is close to tried and true. Now, am I saying you shouldn't change? Absolutely. Every process has to change over time because we change over time. The environment changes over time. The macros and the micros, all of those influences change over time. So you have to be able to be flexible in that you can respond to the changes. But when you're trying to add a whole bunch of innovation and creativity on top of something that already exists, you're gonna have to be careful. You have to understand the basics of that thing because those are never gonna change. The principles are never gonna change no matter what your ultimate goal or process is. So the principles that you have to know those principles, the rules that make this thing happen, right? In the field of networking is no different. Heschel says self-respect is the root of discipline. The sense of dignity grows with the ability to say no to oneself. Even in networking, you've got to practice some constraint, some control, some restraint. You know, you have to be able to reward yourself with the positive feelings that come from knowing that you could have run amok and done the wrong things, right? But you didn't. And the fact that you didn't is something that you have to be able to first reward yourself for. When you know you've done a good job, even if nobody says that you've done a good job when it comes to networking, you have to be able to give yourself a pat on the back. And because you deserve the honor and the respect, and refuse to carry yourself in a way that would betray your own integrity. Because when you do that, then you have really no leg to stand on. You really don't have too much to share. You can be confident and therefore seen as competent with your aptitude. Now, let me share that. Let me break that down a little bit. What I mean by that. It's important to be confident, but your confidence can't be a false confidence. It can't be the kind of confidence that comes from ego or pomp. you know, it's got to be the kind of confidence that's based on competence. Now, how do you know that you're highly competent in anything? You have to do the work, get the feedback from others that matter so that you can go, okay, I'm going to fix this piece and that piece, but I'm going to keep this piece and I'm going to get better at that piece. And I'm going to get some more feedback and I'm going to execute again and get some more feedback and execute again and get some more feedback. You have to be a feedback monster in order really to execute in a way that gives you that continuous growth and that continuous opportunity mindset. And if you don't, you get set in your ways and you start to go, well, I've always done it this way. I'm going to do it this way again. I'll do it this way next week. You know, and when you talk about networking, I mean, there's perfect examples out there of people who continue to think that they can show up to a meeting, not say anything, not engage with anyone in any meaningful way, hand out a bunch of business cards, and that's networking. And then they're going to follow up with people who gave them a card back, maybe add them on their newsletter or some kind of passive marketing strategy. But they're not really going to engage in any meaningful way and make any meaningful commitments or share anything meaningful about themselves in a way that people could say, "Oh, wow, I like that. Tell me more. Oh, I want to get involved. I want to find out more." Because if you're doing it wrong in the first place, it's going to show up. It's going to show up right immediately. They're going to say nice. They're going to say, "Oh, that's nice. Thank you so much. Take your card." And then it's going in a circular file. MacArthur says this about this. Why is discipline important? Discipline teaches us to operate by principle rather than desire. Saying no to our impulse, even the ones that are not inherently sinful, puts us in control of our appetites rather than vice versa. It deposes our lust and permits truth, virtue, and integrity to rule our minds instead. There's a saying, I hear it all the time, fake it till you make it, right? And there's an aspect to that I absolutely agree with. First of all, I don't agree on faking it. I think you should be it to achieve it, right? But I don't think you should fake it. You can't fake principle. You can't fake character. You can't fake your values, right? Those are the core root things that have to happen in order for you to adequately and appropriately build trust with other people. You have to have maybe a good character. You have to have integrity. You have to be honest. You have to be forthright. You have to walk it like you talk it, tell it like it is, and be willing to accept the consequences that come from people who want you to fake it. Because people do want that. Sometimes they want the fake. They want the fake out. They want you to say yes, even if you mean no. Because nobody wants to be rejected. They always want to be accepted. They don't want to hear, I don't want to hear it. They don't want to hear anything that might slow things down or might cause a cog in the system. They're not really to face up the realities or the truth, right? But people who have integrity, they can't help it. and they're not going to fake that because discipline teaches you when to say no and when to say yes. That's for me, right? When you have it, you have it. Disciplined people do not fly by the seat of their pants. They do not seek the cheap or the easy route in anything they do. They understand that there's a cost for everything and they're willing to pay the price, make the sacrifice, and enjoy their just rewards. Let me say that again. Disciplined people are willing to pay the price, make the sacrifice, and enjoy their just rewards. That's right. If you're doing the right thing and you know you're doing the right thing, you can hang out with that feeling that everything is good in the hood, so enjoy yourself, and networking is no different. Um, when it comes to networking, I got to tell you, your actions that are wholesome will give a rise to, your greatest discipline results. But if you try to shirk responsibility for how you show up or blame others for how they feel about what you bring to the table, that's a losing game right there. You're never going to be able to win because you're not even going to seek ways to win. You're going to assume that because people assume the wrong things about you, that they're wrong. And they are wrong, but how do you fix it if you don't engage and subtly, with kindness and respect and love, begin to help them maybe come to a different conclusion than they might automatically come up with? I've seen it happen all the time. There's a friend of mine who I met at a TED Talk many, many years ago who used to talk Ku Klux Klansmen out of their uniforms, basically giving over their Klan uniforms and regalia to him. And he's a black man. How did he do it? By treating them like human beings, by befriending them, finding out what's good about them and their perspective, and parts of what's good about them that he actually shared and could agree to. And once they found that black people weren't what they thought black people were vis-a-vis this one person, they couldn't hold on to the fervor that is the Klan mentality. And so when you think about a skillful networker and what a skillful networker needs to be able to do, they need to be able to do a lot. And they need to be able to do a lot very well because networking is a complicated human engagement process, right? And you have to bone up on your interview skills. You have to bone up on your active listening skills. You have to learn how to recruit top talented people to be a part of your network. You have to be a masterful at delivering elevator pitches and making personal introductions and leading teams of divergent views to do all that exceptionally well. Where the study showed there's about 13 different master networking skills that you'll have to develop if you consider yourself a great networker. Skill number one, obviously you have to present well. You have to dress the part, right? You got to wear the appropriate attire for the moment that you're in with the right people, right? Number two, you've got to be good at creating, engineering, and constructing introductory conversation. Getting yourself in the right conversations with the right people is so important because if you don't get into the right conversations, how are you going to influence those conversations to be where you need them to be and respect you at a level that you need to respect yourself at? So you got to get in the conversation. You can't just sit on the sidelines and go, oh, yeah, I'm going to meet 1,000 people. First of all, you're not going to meet 1,000 people in any given, and you're not going to do it unless you're the platform speaker. And even then, you're not going to meet 1,000 people. You're going to meet a few people who took the time to introduce you or took the time to shake your hand or buy your book or whatever it is that you're doing, but you're not going to meet 1,000 people and start to begin a relationship with 1,000 people. Not going to happen. right? So don't even talk yourself into believing that your mass marketing strategy and networking is going to work. It's not going to work. You have to learn to present yourself well. Again, if you could present yourself well in terms of how you communicate and how you show up and what you have to offer, the right people are going to pay attention to you. Now, of course, the wrong people have to ignore you because you're not sharing anything of value to them. And you have to understand that if you're trying to talk to everybody about whatever it is that you do, thinking that everybody could be a part of your next discovery or your next solution, that's a process, but that's a mass marketing process. If you start sharing all the same information to everybody the same way all the time, what you're going to find is some people are going to pay attention and maybe move forward in some kind of way, shape, or form, but the majority of people are going to ignore you. Um, and they may even give you a false sense of security by saying, "Well, thank you for that presentation," or "Thank you for that wonderful document that you shared with me," or "Thank you for blah 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 blah." They don't really mean it. They don't really mean that they're going to actually pay attention or they're actually going to engage and do something about it. It's very, very important that you learn how to present yourself in a way where you grab the attention of the people that you want to grab attention to. That's number three. Number four, this is one of my favorites, and I gotta tell you, there's not enough of this going on. Make and keep promises. So I'm in a conversation with you. You're talking about something that's great that's going on in your life or your business, and I say to you, "Oh my God, that's wonderful. I really love that you came up with that. You know, what's that all about?" The smartest thing you can do right then and there is say to me, "You know what? I'd love to sit down and talk with you about it at some point in the future. Is that possible? Can we do that?" And I'm going to say yes. And then you're going to say, "Why don't you give me your contact information and I'll follow up with you personally in a day or two, and we'll continue the conversation. Would that be okay?" Yeah. Get that contact information and actually follow up. What you're doing is you're making a promise and you're starting a pattern of making and keeping promises. And when you start that pattern of making and keeping promises, you're elevating the level of trust. Now, you can't promise something that I don't want. If you promise something that I'm not interested in or I don't care about, then that promise is gonna be like, you can send me the brochure. Yeah, you can call me. I'm not picking up the phone. Yeah, you can, I don't do this to people, but I know people who do this to people. You know, they start to accept something, but they don't really want to accept it. They're really not interested in just to move on, just to get this person, obviously, oh, you want to give me your brochure. Oh, okay. You want to give me your business card. Oh, okay. You want to pitch me your idea, your thought process. Oh, okay. You know, and I'll find a way to wiggle out of that because I'm probably better at this than you are, right? So think about it. Who are you approaching with your promise? And what are you making a promise to do if you're not paying attention to them? Number 5 is create great content, and this is really more about social media. If you don't know what your audience enjoys and what they're looking for and what you want, don't put any content together at all. Stop. Pay attention to your target audience. Go join a couple of groups online or whatever. Sneaky peek into the comment section and what the things that they share and things that they think are important. To find out who's most popular and interview them and talk to them about, how the best persons that have ever interacted with this group might have interacted and what did they share and what did they really love about them and blah blah blah. Find out how to become a maven in an organization that you're trying to gain attraction to. I don't care if it's a chamber or an association or a nonprofit organization or a group. You can't just rush in there like a bull in a China shop and think that you have all the answers for everybody just because you created a program or a product or a solution. Because it might be you might have the best solution for a problem that I have, and I'll get personal here. You might have a best solution for a problem that I have, but if I'm not ready to deal with the problem, in fact, I may be putting the problem on the back burner, or I may have some more priorities that I have to get in front of before I attack that problem. If I ever attack that problem, You presenting me with a solution to a problem I'm not even ready to deal with is gonna make you look kinda stupid, because if you really wanted to get to know me and you really wanted to understand where I was coming from and what I need to bring to the table, then you would ask me some questions that would prevent me from going, "You know what, Marvin, I got the perfect product for you. I got the perfect solution for you." When I'm thinking about 3, 4 other things that are more problematic to me, which I've just shared with you, and you come off out of left field with this crazy notion, this idea that you think I should pay attention to, you're gonna sound like you're not really listening. You're gonna show up like you don't really care. So when you make content that you know the people that you want to pay attention to your content will pay attention to your content. Because if you're making content that's irrelevant, that nobody cares about, it's really not fun. It's really not interesting. It's really not going to cause you to get to the spaces where you want to get to. Number six, you have to master your phone time. The time you spend in connecting with other people is super, super important. You can't always get people on a Zoom call, and you got to be okay with that. You can't always get people, to have a face-to-face meeting with you, and you got to be okay with that. But the phone, you got to be masterful at. And there's all kinds of tricks and trips. Okay, what was say techniques and tips that we can give you to understand that. But it's a skill. People sometimes are good on the phone. They're bad on the phone. And if you can be good on the phone, you can create a sense of camaraderie and a sense of connection with people on the phone, then you're going to be much better face to face as well, right? So that don't shortcut that phone time and go, well, it's not really quality. I can't really give my presentation. That's good. I don't need you to give a presentation to build a relationship. I need you to build a relationship and then give a presentation when they ask for it and give them the presentation that they want to see when it's time, when they're leaning in, right? The next thing I'm going to say, this is number six. Is it number six? It's number seven. Get connected with social media. I got to tell you, mm, the social in social media is more important than the media in social media. I'm gonna let that sit with a lot of you for a second, and I want you to think about that. How are you using the social in social media? How are you engaging with people that you should be engaging with? You should be engaging, just in case you didn't know, with the masters of your universe. What do I mean by that? There are people in every industry who literally have their fingers on the pulse of where that industry is going. And they're posting information about their industry, about their thoughts about the industry, about where they're going to go. You need to show up in their DMs. You need to show up in the comment section. Never, and I want you to avoid this. Never just give a thumbs up or something simple, some passive, simple thing that you could do more expressively. Even if it's to wish somebody happy birthday or whatever that is, don't just be the happy birthday. Don't be in the happy birthday crew. I just got over 400 messages on Facebook for my birthday. Some people I don't even know about, don't remember where I met them, if I ever met them at all. And I can't even tell you over 700 on LinkedIn alone. Right? Again, people that they mean well when they send me the traditional happy birthday, Marvin, happy birthday. Not even Marvin, it's just happy birthday. Congratulations. Happy birthday. But I got to tell you, that doesn't mean a whole lot to me when I've gotten 200 of them. But the person who said, happy birthday, Marvin. I remember the time when we used to do blah, 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 blah. Or we got together, we did that, da, da, da. Or you made that post the other weekend that I really, really liked. That was really, really powerful. Congratulations. Happy birthday. Now you're giving some substance to your comment that will make me want to go look at your profile. and go find out. Oh yeah, I do remember this person. Oh, let me find out what they're up to. And I'm gonna get to your profile and I'm gonna cyber stalk you for a little bit. And if there's something juicy in there, something meaningful in there, I'm gonna reflect back to you. I'm gonna hit you up in your DMs. I'm gonna go, oh my God, I see that you're doing blah blah blah. Thanks for so much for the birthday wishes. It means so much. I see that you're going into this kind of contracting, or you're going into this space, or you're doing this next new thing. That's so exciting. How did you begin to even think about that? I'm gonna ask you an engaging question. I'm going to use social media to be social. I'm going to ask an engaging question and I'm going to get you to answer. And then I'm going to ask you another question and I'm going to get you to answer. And then I'm going to ask you another question. Pretty soon we're having a passive conversation that could turn into a phone call, which could turn into another phone call and then another phone call. And pretty much that might turn into a Zoom call and then another Zoom call and then another Zoom call. And that might turn into a question. And I want to compare this to you. Like, think about your dating life. If you haven't, if ever had a dating life, right? Before you made the commitment, wasn't there several meetings and several opportunities that happened before you said, yes, I will take this to the next level, go to the mat, do whatever it is you promised to do, right? There's a series of things that had to happen in order for you to feel comfortable making the commitment. It's the same thing in business networking and business relationship. There's a series of things that have to happen before people feel comfortable taking the relationship to the next level. And if you got the end in mind when you began a relationship, you're thinking, this person could be an excellent member of my advisory council, possibly. Or this person could be an investor for me, possibly. Or this person could be not just a client, but a stark raving fanatic for me, possibly. If that's what you're thinking, now you have to figure out under what criteria would that possibility be most likely to happen. So if it's an investor, if I think they could be a great, wonderful investor for me, I got to ask myself, how am I showing up in a way that's going to ring their bells? So they could go, you know what, Marvin, I really want to invest in your company. How much can we get away with to do blah, 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 blah. And guess what? If I don't have an answer when they ask me that question, then I'm going to show up a little bit unprepared. That's a no-go. You don't want to be unprepared. So if you're acting on purpose, guess what? You're always prepared. But if you're just going stuff willing, I'm just gonna go to the conference and see what happens. Oh my God. You're just about to waste thousands and thousands of dollars on a guess, a hunch. That's not strategy, folks. That's not skill. That's not competency. That's not capability. That's all of that is I'm wishing on a star, right? So it's important that you have a plan, you have a strategy, you have a technique, you have a thought process that you want to execute. And I'm sharing with you some of the good stuff right now. So you got to master your phone time. You got to get connected. The next thing, number 8, you got to be able to identify great partners. There are the right people that you should be playing with, right? They could be industry leaders, they could be potential investors, they could be anybody who you might consider a stakeholder in whatever it is that you do. But you have to identify them and then you have to attract them. And that's step number 9. You have to attract mavens, people who could make a difference. You alone can't control the macro influences or forces in your business. But there's some groups of people who could actually do that. And so if you need to have a hero council or you need to have people advocate for you at a high level, why would you have somebody who's sort of just getting started or don't really know their way around or haven't been experienced long enough to build credibility in the space? No, you want the most credible, most influential, most provocative person that you can to identify with you. You want to be their protege. You want them to be your mentor. You want them to be on your advisory council. You want them to be in your investment community. You want them to be in relationship with you in such a way that you can leverage that relationship and the trust that you develop in that relationship. The next thing you have to do of the 13 master networking skills is learn how to deliver your brand, right? You can't deliver your brand if you don't understand what your brand is. You can't deliver your brand if you're not comfortable with your brand. If you deliver your brand and you're not comfortable with your brand, what you're going to do is you're going to mess up and try to be a jack of all trades, master of none. That happens all the time. People introduce themselves and I do this and I do that and I do this and I do that and I do this and I do that and pretty sure pretty soon no one understands exactly what it is that you do or what you can be counted on for. You want to be able to succinctly and quickly be able to say, this is what the benefits are that I bring to the table in this particular market and in this specific way. If you can do that, it's a simple question that you have to answer for yourself. I do what for who? That's it. If you can answer that question for yourself, you can deliver a really good branding statement. Test it out. At the highest level of whatever it is that you do what for who? When I'm teaching networking, I help people reach a level of mastery in that thing really fast. So if you need to learn how to leverage and build relationships, you're not going to find a better teacher how to do that than me. It's not going to happen. Now, in the world of sales, we call that a big fat claim. Do I do other things? Of course I do other things. But that's my thing. I can guarantee you that I got the receipts on this one. I know that I could do this at a high level anywhere, anytime, with anybody. So I can deliver on that brand all day, every day, right? The next thing you got to do, and I mentioned this earlier, is you got to secure commitments. And the way you secure commitments with people is by getting permission to even ask for the commitment. Listen, I'm thinking you might be a good person to have on my advisory council. I don't know if it's going to be a right fit for you, but I love to get your permission to even discuss it with you at some point in the future. Would that be possible? That's just asking for permission to make a commitment. But once you've secured that commitment, what you got to do? You got to execute. You can't say you're going to do something and not follow up and not follow through. That happens all the time. And people start to see you as a flake. You don't honor your commitments, or you make promises that you can't deliver on. Or even worse, you make promises and then you over deliver on the promise, meaning you showed up with so much more than you promised. And it doesn't blow people away like you want to believe it does. It makes them feel like, what else are you holding back on? You promised me this and then you promised me this, but then you gave me that. What else are you holding back on from me? What else should I be asking for that I don't even know because you're not being honest with me about your capabilities and what you can really do, right? That's what people are thinking. They're not going to tell you that, but that's what they're thinking. Number 12, always ask for what you want. Now, it's hard to ask for what you want if you don't know what you want. And by the way, what you want should be something that the people that you're talking to can easily give you, which means you got to do your pre work before you even meet them. They go, okay, what is the potential here for a relationship with this person? And if this person could be a great influencer for you, but you ask them to be something other than an influencer, you're not asking for something that's going to be easily delivered. So ask for what you want, but more importantly, ask for what the people that you're working with can actually give you without pulling their own hair out, without making it dangerous or difficult for themselves. Ask for the easy wins. When people get used to giving you what you need and it's easy for them, they get used to saying yes to you. You want them to saying yes, 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 yes. And after a while, you can ask them for the moon and they're going to be like, sure, it's not a problem because it's you, right? But you got to ask, you got to get good at asking for what you want right away. Get engaged right away. Start getting down to something that you can tangibly do and exchange to one another right away, as soon as you possibly can. As soon as the window and door is open, right? And you'll know when people go, "Oh, that's fascinating. I like that. Oh, that's great. Yeah, I want that. Oh, that makes sense. I like to get more of that. I like to find out more about that." But you got to always be asking. You got to always be, you know, but don't ask for more than you can deliver. Don't ask for more. Don't make promises that you can't deliver on. 'Cause people are going to ask you, "Can you do blah 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 for me?" You got to go, sure. I could, but I have to clear up a whole lot of other stuff, and I'm not sure if it's going to be really that meaningful for me to do all this. So you tell me, how is it going to work? How do you see this actually working out? If they tell you, listen, just whatever your bill is, whatever your payment is, you just pay me, and I'll just pay you, and just let me take care of it. Then that's a whole different question, right? That can you give me, right? You got a whole different response, but you got to engage enough to figure out what are they really asking you for, and what are the particulars of it, right? Last thing, 13 step is create lucrative engagements. What do I mean by that? Don't do stuff that's not win-win. If you're going to be with somebody or hang out with somebody or share space with somebody, make sure it's a win-win arrangement that you both can agree on. Okay, we're going to call it close for today, but next week we're going to talk about tactics. We talked about skills, core competencies of networkers. But next week we're going to talk about the tactics and how you pull all this stuff together so that you can win. Okay, guys, I'm Coach Powell. I'm signing out. I had a great time. I hope you did too. And let's keep this party going. Don't forget to share. Don't forget to like. Don't forget to promote. Don't forget to, whatever. This program is being recorded right now, and it's going on. It's on live stream on YouTube, on Facebook, on Instagram, and on what did I say? LinkedIn. That's the one I missed. So God bless you. Y'all have a good day, and I'll see you next Friday. Bye now.